Welcome one, welcome all to an exciting new episode of the Europe in Ruins CarrotCast featuring yours truly, the one and only Illegal Carrot. We got another great game for you today. This one sent in by a community member, so thank you very much for that. Remember at the end of the last one, I did ask you, if you got a great game, send it on in. I'll check it out, maybe even give it a cast. Well, that's exactly what we have here today. A really great game sent in by a community member. And so we get to check it out. This is on a map I am slightly less familiar with, St. Lo. It is an 8-player map, 4 versus 4, and it is made actually by the one and only Skafa, aka COVID-19, in this match. So he is a very talented mapper, and we'll see just how talented of a player he could possibly be. We also got a couple folks I want to follow along with. Arkabar is a relatively new player, so I think I'm going to have fun following along with him and seeing just how far he's come and how much he has improved since the last time I played with him. And we got a whole slew of regular players on in here. COVID-19 playing Armor, Fantik playing Royal Scottish Engineers, Arkabar playing Armor, Area playing his infantry company. Over here on the Axis side, Talk Slow For Me is on his defensive, RustyNails is on his defensive, meanwhile Normac is on his terror, and X1 Alpha is also on his terror company. So we've got a doubling up of defensive, a doubling up of terror, and a doubling up of armor, with a couple of 2 different allied companies also thrown in there. So we shall see exactly how this plays out. If you're following along at home, of course, I've left a link in the description for the replay and the battle files if you want to save those, put those in the right spot, and follow along in the replay. There's a lot that happens in this game. I can't quite cover all of it on the screen at the same time, at the same moment. So if you want to follow along at home and check things out that way, that's how you do that. And we are waiting at the 5-second mark. So get your replays to that point, and then we'll all start at the same time. We'll be in sync. That's how that works. So without further ado, getting into the action. We are at the 5-second mark, and we will be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so here is the St. Lo. Here, this is the default angle to view things from. So following along with Alpha on his terror, RustyNails here, that is going to be defensive. So it'll be good to have defensive on these flanks. We've got Talk on a defensive company and Normac on his terror. So we'll have 2 terrors on the flanks, it looks like. Or no, defensive on the flanks, while we have terror coming through the middle and trying to control the center of this map. Now these flanks are perfect for a defensive company. You got plenty of open space for a pack, for an MG, for a bunker, for an 88 for defensive emplacements. So these flanks will be hopefully pretty well covered there, with terror coming in on the middle. Meanwhile, from the Allied perspective, we have some mortars and a Pershing out of Skafa, who looks like he's going to be doing something fairly micro-intensive. And we have Arkabar here, with a line looking like it's going to be forming, of course, around the center of the map. Axis taking early control of the center portion of the town here, and that territory difference could start chipping away at the Allies very early, very quickly, very easily, especially with a Pershing on the field from the start of calling. It's going to be a lot of population tied up in that Pershing, 16 pop, and that's units you don't have on the field capping. Pershing's in a lot of trouble here, going up against a pack, 2 P4s, and a Panther. M10 goes down. That looks like Arkabar's M10. So that Pershing no longer has any support. He's able to get out of here, but he still hasn't gotten any kills yet. You see he's taken about half his health in damage. Has not gotten a single kill yet. Not a very effective use of HP, but he has done a significant amount of damage. It's up to them whether they can leverage this into something more meaningful later, honestly. Over here on this flank, we have, what is this, Area and Fantik doing their thing. Setting up that pack right there was a good idea. They're going to get a couple shots off. This Panther's going to scare off these vehicles. But here's a 17-pounder from Fantik. Don't drive into that! Don't drive into that! And he drove right into that. So that Panther is hurting. And what kind of artillery was that? A firestorm. That was, I think, a pretty poor firestorm out of, I think that was Normac there. It did force the Allies off, but it did not accomplish a whole lot more than that. Over here on this flank, it looks like arkabar has set up an MG emplacement, so that's certainly an unusual move. MG emplacements not exactly in the meta at the moment, but this emplacement also does seem like it's covering a fairly significant area. Being able to deny this entire field to the Axis is going to be an advantage to them. And they are only 1 pop, whereas an MG team is 4. So they're a very pop-efficient way to put an MG and just block off important avenues across the map. More action going on over here. That Panther going back and forth with that 17-pounder. This M4 Sherman has not really done a lot of damage in any meaningful way, but I think getting that Panther to sit in front of that AT gun, that Sherman has been very cost-effective in that regard. And getting kind of ballsy with it, but this Panther somehow takes a rear armor hit from that shot, damaging its engine. This Sherman has already bullied this Panther enough. I think he's going to try to get away with it. Meanwhile, these nice crossbowers are just going to run over these unupgraded basic-ass rifles. The Brits are coming in to try to save the day. That 17-pounder could get that kill. Oh, and a miss, so he doesn't. And he maybe gets away. Yeah, oh, no, they're tracking. Oh, they're going after the next cross. Okay, that Panther should get away for now, but that is a sad Panther. Over on this side of the map, we have 2 mortars out of Scaffa. I don't think the Axis realize that Scaffa really just has 2 mortars, and so they're afraid to push in when, if they did, I think they would rack up significant kills here. While this Pershing went off and earned 2 infantry kills somehow. Still not very impressed, but we'll see how that goes. I missed a rocket run here that completely leveled this house, and you can see its trajectory right along here. Didn't really seem to do a whole hell of a lot, though. Staghound taking down this MG. Maybe it will hit this mine, and it looks like it's going to get around it. Broken Arrow popped in the backfield. You got this Jeep spotting on this Panther, providing vision. Meanwhile, oh yes, that's exactly what they wanted to happen. He spotted for the Broken Arrow, and the poor enemy unit down before it can even pop its repair. So that's going to be a lot of manpower, a lot of fuel, and a lot of munitions off the map the Axis really weren't able to make the most use of. You know, it's okay if you lose the Panther, but you really got to be getting your money's worth out of it. And that Broken Arrow absolutely denied that to them. Some anti-air coming on in the form of an Ostman Flak Panzer. That will probably deal with any airstrikes that the Allies do try to send in. A very effective anti-air unit, but too late to save the Panther, which is the real tragedy. Things are slowing down a little bit as they develop. Scaffa only having 18 pop on the field, a Pershing and a Jeep. He could really be grabbing some territory or holding a line with any bit of infantry. I think he's focused on microing his Pershing at the moment, which doesn't really seem to be paying off in terms of these 2 kills. He might be going back to repair it, but he just needs a unit other than a Pershing on the field at the moment, and he doesn't. Arkabar holding the line over here with an MG and an M10, but he's kind of lonely. But that's okay, because the Axis really just don't have much of anything on this side. A Pioneer squad to hold the territory. And that's really all they have going on. Both sides are very weak here. And this is something I see a lot of players do. They don't probe, they don't raid, so they never find out that there's a single Pioneer squad here. Either side could be grabbing all this territory here while the action's focused over here, but instead they're either paying attention to this battle here, let's go and check it out, or I don't know what, they're being a little too timid. Decent micro out of the Ostwin. He's going to get the flank on this AT gun, but the Staghound on his ass is really going to do him in as well. He should have gone around. He tried to get away from the AT gun when he should have gone around. So there goes the Oscar. Normac's coming in trying to save the day with his Knight's Cross. They got to be at close range for their STG-44s to be most effective. At medium range, they're a survivable squad, but they don't have the greatest DPS out at range. Again, it just seems like a stalemate has been forced here. We've got the battle lines drawn. Control between this sector seems to be firmly in the Axis hands for most of the game. So that's going to affect the population cap growth rate somewhat in favor of the Axis. And we have an Opal Blitz, which could place down a Flak 88 anywhere at any moment. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes down and how that plays out. We've got a decent amount of armor out of the Allies. And spoiler alert, there will be a decent bit more armor out of the Allies later in the game. So an 88 could and would be potentially critical to an Axis victory on this map. And another MG nest going up. It looks like the first one got destroyed, but arkabar putting up a second. And I haven't seen it yet do too much, but I'm willing to believe that an MG nest here is going to do some work. So arkabar maybe with secret strats and knowing something we don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to force another engagement in here. Yeah, this is not going to go well for the Axis. The AT guns are too far forward on their own. The single Knight's Cross holder was not going to hold the line. 88 going up though, so that could be very decisive, but I don't see, other than the Sherman, too much armor at the moment. Nothing that a pack couldn't solve. But a decent amount of interesting infantry supporting the Flak 88 is essential, first of all, but it's really going to be able to kind of take all comers across this entire field within the entire range of the 88. And an artillery barrage, that is a special defensive doctrinal unlock. An artillery barrage on this MG, meanwhile, it looks like the Brits are doing a rocket run, a commando rocket run right across the 88. Wiping out the crew, the gun remains relatively intact, but now someone's going to have to hop on the gun if they want to have an 88. And it looks like Talk Slow is going to be recrewing it with these folks here. Bye-bye vet, but hello, fresh 88. So this Bren is going to have a bad day. In just a moment. There's one, and there's two.
Cowards attack our forward base.
arkabar brings out a Pershing of his own to go with Scafas. Let's see what he's able to do with it. Again, there's nothing on this flank, so a Pershing could just tear into anything and everything it comes across. We've got some AT guns across the front here, but absolutely nothing defending the rear. The Axis currently have no defense in depth. So a Pershing could blitzkrieg on through there just like a Tiger could, and cause just as much damage. And now we have two of them on the field. Normac pushing in, trying to force another engagement with these flamers. If we can get him out in the open, then he can whittle him down. But he's got to watch out for this AT gun that he's leading these Brits right on into. And there goes the AT gun.
Defended the fatherland until death.
So lead another defensive unlock for top slow for me. You saw him just wipe a squad there almost. Decent amount of damage, excellent range, good shell, indirect fire. Paired with an 88 like this, you've got great anti-tank and anti-infantry barrage abilities. Looks like the Allies are not having a good time with the 88, surprise, surprise, so they might be coming back to repair with some of these units. Again, out of Fantik, you got this Churchill Croc. It's lost about a third of its health. Hasn't earned a single kill this match yet, so you need to see better play out of these Crocs, out of these very expensive, heavy tanks, if they're going to earn their keep. Otherwise, why have a Pershing if you're not going to do anything with that Pershing? So we got some flamers rushing up the middle here. Our allies are trying to take the center here. And there wasn't too much holding them back, so these flamers going through the smoke are going to be relatively unopposed. The flamers, of course, are not at all affected by the smoke accuracy penalties, so they're going to be dealing full damage in the smoke. This was a good barrage, this was a good rush, and these engineers came out on top. So good job, Scaffa. Over here on this flank, we have some grease guns. Good grenade onto that MG. Alpha's not reacting in time. These grease guns are going to take him down. And these Marines are going to be relatively unopposed. The Azul Grenadiers are going to help, but a single squad is not going to hold off these flamers like so. Meanwhile, over on this side, Normac coming in with some nice crossholders. You need to make sure these guys don't get run over. It's very easily to lose a lot of resources. A lot of your company's resources by having guys kicked off, by getting run over by M10s and Shermans. So Normac needs to be... If we have 2 defensive players, there's got to be a medic bunker around here somewhere. And if there's not yet, surely there will be. So these Knights Crossholders healing up at a medical bunker or something like that is going to be key to getting the maximum value out of him. He should be really getting behind this green cover that the AT guns provide, and just using the short-range DPS and the green cover to keep him safe. But he does lose a model, which could have been preventable. And then the Knight's Crossholder, that matters, because now he's got to pull it off the field. Better utilization of green cover, I think, can save that guy. And where are the medic bunkers? That's something we really need to see. We have a defensive player doing his defensive thing, defending this flank. Okay, that makes sense, but where's the medic bunker? Out of the other defensive player. Okay, so here we've got a medic bunker on the 88. This is a good idea. This is going to heal not just the crew, but also the gun. Medic bunkers do heal crude weapons like that. They heal mortars, they heal MGs, they heal AT guns, they heal 88s, they heal artillery. Stuff like that will be slowly repaired over time by the medic bunker. It's a silly little thing, but it's how it works, and he's taken advantage of that by having this 88 within the medic bunker's radius. The only thing I would say is you could have better placement out of this 88 if you placed it perhaps right here against this house. You have this house here that you could put a flamer in, put an MG and something like that to cover the 88 on approach if infantry come in. And then you also have a house which you can defend the 88 from, but also decrew it if someone manages to hop on the 88. If they hop on the 88, they don't have very good access to your lines with the gun, so it's of limited use to them. And you can cover the flank down this way, you can cover this way, but with the 88 here, it's got so much range that you're just wasting along this entire flank. So you got to be thinking about a weapon's range radius when placing in a mobile. All you can do is place it, you can't move it. So you got to make sure you put it in the right spot. I think a medic bunker perhaps behind this house with the 88 here, medic bunker healing the 88 through this house with an MG in this house would make for a very formidable defensive position, and I think it would cover a little bit more ground a lot more effectively. Allies have now grabbed control of the center, ripping that away from the Axis, and Axis are a little afraid to commit to anything. For good reason. This LEIG can just do some decent damage at range by itself, and so if they can just pick off enough squads one at a time this way, this thing's already got 5 kills into the match, and you can see it's a Vet 3 gun, it's a Vet 3 crew, so it's fairly effective within the hands of Talk Slow for me. And some good shots like that is just going to clear out the center. For the Axis, the AT guns coming into position, this Churchill prop could potentially have a very bad day. 88 will hopefully be within range of that Churchill prop. It gets distracted by a plane, is unable to shoot it down. And you see, again, with this placement of this 88, these guys are actually able to hide behind this wreckage here, and it acts as cover for them. They're not able to, the 88 is not able to hit them through it. Meanwhile, a broken arrow deep into Axis territory. Whose is that? That was Scaffa's broken arrow right here. I didn't see exactly what it hit, but I don't see a lot of wreckage around here, so I'm not sure if it hit anything. But arkabar coming in with the Pershing, backing it up with this lonely little quad.
We're hit!
6 infantry, 1 vehicle, and 1 tank kill out of the Pershing, though. That's a decent kill ratio so far. So good on arkabar for doing that, and just as I say that, he turns his ass to a Panther. Going for a flank, though. This is a pretty... No, he's backing off. Okay, so he was able to get away. It looks like he didn't really take a hit, so that was actually the right call on his part. Meanwhile, Scaffa's Pershing, faring similarly, but also extraordinarily low. If the Axis come on in here and actually finish off these Pershings, that could be a game changer as it is. But instead we have a King Tiger, which is not going to be doing any hunting in the backfield, but it is going to be the front line.
Enemy unit
It is
down.
just going to be the front line in and of itself as soon as it can get there. So this is, of course, a terror doctrinal unlock. Who doesn't love the King Tiger? And here we go. Alpha's got one, bringing it up onto the front, and I don't see anything. I mean, even a 17-pounder, if the Allies still have one, a single 17-pounder is not going to be able to do in a King Tiger, let alone 2 King Tigers, 2 second veterancy King Tigers out on the field from Normac, from Alpha. This is a huge fuel investment, this is a huge manpower investment, and this is a huge population investment into these 2 King Tigers. But what it really comes down to is, can the Allies defeat 2 King Tigers at the same time? And that is always a very difficult proposition, especially when you go losing your M10s like this. Although that M10 just bounced a pack. Well, it's not going to matter. He's going to have a bad day. King Tiger gets his first kill of the match, a virtually unopposed kill on an M10. Scoff was pushed off by this MG, a single well-placed MG held off 2 engineers. We have a bunker here still, and yep, Scoff is now calling out there are 2 King Tigers on the field, because there are. Fantik recruiting the 17-pounder. They're going to need this to fend off these King Tigers. But with an 88 over here, and 2 King Tigers here, it's not really going to leave the Allies a lot of wiggle room.
Casualties being reported.
And, yep, Allied casualties coming in. Looks like Scaffa lost something else. From the defensive perspective,
What's our target?
this 88 has killed a significant, well, not a hugely significant, but also not an insignificant number of infantry. I wonder if that's off its barrage ability or if it's managed to snipe something like that. 7 times in a row, no less. This league, this is, I think, a very ballsy move with this league. But if they can take out this MG... Yep, there was a good hit out of that lead, taking out the MG. Another one doing good damage. This MG's almost gone. This Pershing's pushing in and running straight to a King Tiger. Somehow misses. So arkabar trying to duel a King Tiger with a Pershing. That's not going to go too well for it unsupported. And where's the other Pershing? Coming back up to the front. Looks like he popped a repair. He's coming back. Getting ready for a flank, but not quite launching one yet. Yeah, that Pershing is just going to get eaten up by the 88 and that King Tiger. Where is that 17-pounder? It is over here trying to engage this other King Tiger. Looks like the Allies are just getting overwhelmed for AT. And we might see a dead Pershing. Yes, we do. Churchill Croc coming in. He can maybe tank a hit or 2, but I'm not sure what damage he's going to put out. Meanwhile, good artillery on this Allied support weapon blob. This is why you don't have 3 support weapons standing on top of each other like that. Goodbye. Also say goodbye to this MG. I'm assuming. There we go. Okay, so Allies have completely lost control of the center. They are in disarray, sort of retreating here. They need to make sure they don't lose this howitzer, which could very well happen if the Axis really wanted to. You need some repairs there. You need some repairs there. Allies are really off the line. Axis are going to have free reign for a little while. Arkabar putting up a second MG nest, which I don't know if this is a new meta or something, but the Axis are not going to be able to move up this field regardless. And he's done it with only 2 pop worth of MG nests. This is going to give the Pershing an umbrella, basically, that it can hide under. And it can repair, it can fall back into position, and the Axis just are not going to be able to walk on in here too easily. Howitzer barrage coming in right on this pack.
Ready to roll.
Yeah, I mean, he lost a pack to try to take out a Jeep. That was just not a good trade. And now friendly fire from the howitzer.
Recon ready.
There goes the engineers. There goes the Marines. Sorry, Arkabar. R.I.P. Flamer's doing what they can.
Casualties being reported.
Panther, a T-gun, King Tiger, starting to undo the Allied lines. Allies are going to have to fall back. This mortar is in some serious danger here. Looks like he's focusing on the Pershing instead. Maybe a mistake. Yeah, there you go. Try to snipe. There you go. One more hit, and this mortar is going to run off the map. Meanwhile, nothing to really stop these infantry, except, guess what? 2 MG nests, which the Allies need to be falling back and hiding behind, just like so. And immediately the Axis know they have to turn back. The King Tiger can come in here and clear these out, but not without taking some hits from the AT gun. 9 infantry, 2 vehicle, and 1 tank kill so far on this King Tiger. Meanwhile, 4 infantry, 2 vehicle on the Panther. And let's just check out this King Tiger. Doing some work over here. 2 infantry, 1 tank. Pretty far behind enemy lines. Not a lot of kills, but also still virtually unopposed. I say that, but here comes the Firefly out of Fantik, meanwhile, and a 17-pounder setup over here. So this is a very armored-centric company out of Fantik here. And I wonder if he doesn't have any repairs left on this thing. Because I'm not sure how much work this Churchill's going to be able to do, but, you know, 7 infantry kills is not worth preserving. So maybe you can get some more use out of it. Let's see, what's he at for pop? Yeah, he's at 33 out of 40, so if he's got 7 pop he can call on, he needs to. Axis have so much population tied up in 2 King Tigers, a Panther, some bunkers, and an 88. The Allies need to be taking advantage of that by just getting some more units on the field so they don't have stuff like this happen to them. Although I'm not too sure how I feel about backcapping with Knight's Crossbow. This puts them in a very vulnerable position. And this is a very, not delicate, but certainly a very expensive squad to lose if you do lose it behind enemy lines. Coming over here on this flank. Yeah, Arkabar with MLG Pro machine gun emplacement. Absolutely denying this road. Can't cross the road. Denying the field. The only thing he could maybe do differently is place this a little closer so this MG can actually shoot this house and wipe out this MG on its own. But covering these fields here just gives these Pershings free reign to do kind of whatever the hell they want, and then retreat back into the shroud here with kind of omnipotence. Alright, Fantik. About to lose a command tank. No, just barely keeps it. Still driving it right in front of that AT gun there. Firefly. Not going to do anything against those infantry, but he does micro them well enough to get them all away. Keeps the house between him and the AT gun. And that is one not dead command tank. So good job there, Fantik. But what's not good is that the Axis have the Allies capped all the way back to their spawn, including their spawn sector. And the territory, as you can see, it's
NCOs
going up
reporting
for
they
the
have destroyed a
Axis. The
German
Axis are in a
target.
pretty good position. Maxed out at 40 pop, but the Allies are slowly losing population. 0.37 a minute, I believe. So, yep, they're already down to 39, and now it's just a race against the clock for the Allies. And again, with this Pershing on the field, starting to rack up some kills. Starting to do some work. I would say this Pershing still has not necessarily paid for itself or earned its keep, and that's a lot of damage to take for 2 infantry kills. And losing an AT gun, just like that.
We've got rounds incoming!
Next crosser here. Yeah, Fantik just has no idea what's going on. He can't recap the sector. If he runs into these Knights Cross, they're going to tear him apart. So, Allies not really able to recap anything over here. This AT gun is at least going to hold this sector. Axis trying to push in, nibble away at some territory here. Okay, area. This. Not everyone can be MLG Pro, MG placement like arkabar. We have area over here, trying his best, you know. But they've got a difficult situation because now they've gotten themselves completely flanked, and so they need to defend not necessarily from the direction of the enemy, but they have to worry about a flank, and that's exactly what an MG nest is for: a single population to hold a strong point on the map. This is actually fairly decent placement because any infantry is going to have to come through here or go all the way around, which is only going to delay them further. It's also good to protect the howitzer, but area seems to be mostly focused over here, as does everyone. All the allies have gathered together. 4 of them in one place, and it looks like they know they need to push together to have any chance of dealing with these King Tigers. A Pershing by itself is not going to do it, but a Pershing backed up by 3 AT guns and a Firefly and a command tank and another AT gun. Oh, this guy's going to be gone pretty damn soon. Yep, goodbye. But the King Tiger's going to have a harder time, simply given the sheer number of targets. He's going to have to divide his fire across multiple targets. And oof. So we've got a Jeep spotting this King Tiger here. Someone else has popped another broken arrow. Let's see whose that is. That is, of course, Scaffa's. And this King Tiger is repairing, but it's helpless as it does so. Takes some more hits from the broken arrow, and he's got to clear out this Jeep and eliminate spotting on this whatsoever. Another Ostwind trying to take down the plane. Looks like it lands a hit, but isn't able to take down the plane. And looks like that's the last one. So the King Tiger will now be able to repair in peace, but the sheer amount of damage they did to the damn thing, they might as well have just invalidated the whole repair kit. Axis, firm control on this flank. 88. Not sure why he's facing that way, but, you know, let him do him. COVID-19. Too many forces on the field. See, they're down to 38 pop. Still losing about a third of a pop per minute. Losing the mortar. Not exactly something you want to lose at this point in the game. Flamer's coming in, but this King Tiger is just going to eat them up. Bye-bye. Three engineers gone. That MG will be gone shortly, of course. Churchill Mark IV potentially about to get flanked by these Shreks here. Let's see if this will count as a rear armor hit. Yep, indeed it does. And that's going to be some serious damage on that Churchill, although poor Volksgrenadiers are not having a good time. And this house is about to go down. Get out of that house. Get out of that house, dude. And he just barely gets out with 1 man left. Maybe he fires a rocket. He's probably going to retreat. That's what I would do.
Enemy unit
Get
down.
the shot off and get the hell out of there. Exactly. But you always want to try to get that last shot off. You know, that brought this tank down to, you know, killable in 1 hit. And now he gets to preserve that vet while also seriously damaging this unit, although area should be able to repair it. And will the Axis be able to push in on it in time in order to take it out? I don't know what this King Tiger's doing. He's fucking around. Oh, he's trying to take out this AT gun. AT gun to get used against him. That makes sense. But I think this KT needs to be on the front. The KT is the front line. The KT drags the front line with it. And so the KT should be on the front line, pushing the enemy. Not fucking around with AT guns on the backfield. Lots of Grenadiers, Kriegsmarine, and is this an Azul division? Coming on in. Good push, but this howitzer barrage on top of 3-4 infantry squads. That was a well-placed barrage, and goes just over its head. Looks like he placed it here, and I think the issue here is actually the howitzer is too active, and it's not spreading far enough to actually scatter into these infantry.
Our forces are taking
that's a
casualties.
wasted barrage there. Meanwhile, Grenadiers pushing in, destroying the AT gun. Firefly's going to have to back off. Volunteers are not going to last very long here. Taken down pretty significantly. 24 infantry and 2 vehicles on this Pershing. Starting to rack up some kills, but against 2 King Tigers and a Panther, even a Pershing is not going to have a very good time. And looks like the Allies have regained one single territory sector here, but yep, this MG is going to hold this sector, so they're not going to be able to grab any more, move up any further. Very quiet on this flank, and also towards the center. No one's really pushing in, trying to take out this howitzer, even though it's gotten 23 kills so far in this game. This is a very vulnerable target. It can't move, it can't do a damn thing, really, other than shoot whenever it shoots. A single KCH squad could have probably come in here and taken this out, maybe even gotten this 17-pounder if anyone was ballsy enough to do that. But I think the Axis are pretty satisfied with the amount of territory they hold, and they're just going to begin to choke out the Allies. They know they don't really need to overextend. Although if they did have a squad here, they could at least capture this sector. You always want to be nibbling away like that. Just bit by bit whenever you can. Allies really concentrating together on this flank. They obviously can't do that on this flank because of the 88, so they've chosen over here. And the Axis are responding with both King Tigers, Panther, and moving in some AT guns. Poor AT gun is not going to last much longer. Can't be feeding your AT guns piecemeal like that. Not when you have so many cannons pointed at it. That AT gun's just going to evaporate. He's not really able to do anything about the Sherman over here either. Fantik Sherman is chewing you up. They need some Shrek, so they need another AT gun in the backfield. But it doesn't matter, the Allies are still losing population. Slow for me with essentially a counter MG nest in a very similar position, serving a similar function. And it served that function very well. Those engineers were denied access to the med bunker, they were denied access to the 88 remains, and the King Tiger is gonna wreak a little bit of havoc. Although, shot out of the Pershing kills 2 nice crossbowers from basically full health. They're gonna have to retreat. That's going to put this KT in a very difficult situation.
Enemy
Takes
unit
out the
down.
AT gun with a good hit, but still up against Pershing, a Churchill, and a Firefly, backed up by a command tank. He's going to have to get the hell out of there, and now he's going to be in a very vulnerable situation. He's going to have to repair this thing if he's got any repairs left on it, but Allies are starting to have free reign of the map. This King Tiger is not contributing much over here at the moment. It should probably be on a road, some sort of negative cover where it's going to get a speed boost. It's so damn slow, it's going to need all the help it can get. And you really need to back up this King Tiger with a couple AT guns that you don't lose. A mortar is going to be good for taking out their support weapons. As you can see, they have multiple of those. But this King Tiger out here by itself, that's not really going to do it for me. Lots of positioning and all sorts of nonsense like that going on over here. No one's really committing to a
Enemy
fight.
unit down.
And I think that's where the Axis are gonna see some inefficiencies, let's say. They're slowly starting to cede territory, and when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 allies almost completely on this flank of the map, you really need to be doing a little bit more pushing and attacking them along these fronts. Okay, they're starting to do that now. That's either going to draw them away or you're going to cut off your opponent. But you can't just sit still and let it happen. You really need to be getting these troops on in here.
Enemy unit down.
A sniper, that looks like what they're... And another 88. I think you need an 88 on this flank. Oh, you need an 80. Oh no, the poor King Tiger. Damage engine on the Pershing. That's going to require a repair. That Pershing's going to be out of the fight. It has not even contributed to the fight yet. More interesting stuff happening over here. Huge Knights crossholder rush. Going in. Eliminating the trenches. They need to focus on these flamers. Just focus on the flamers. Don't let them get in like that. There you go. But they need to focus in on these flamers. Take them out. That's the only thing that poses any serious threat to the next crossholder. Half track. Losing control. It's just going to be a matter of picking these guys out. But if you have, what is this, 6, 7 guys in here? 6, yeah. It's going to take them a while to pick them out. And that's just time that the allies can use to go in and dunk on a King Tiger or two, which I think is a real good use of their time. That's exactly what they're going to do, and it's going to turn out pretty well for them. Axis not really focusing where they need to focus. They've got a huge number of troops here, but these 3 players, you need to deal with the marauding armor in your backlines. A pack coming on the field now with its spawn buffs and everything. A Panther coming on the field now could really turn the tide of this, but a bunch of Grenadiers sitting in front of the Pershing is not going to do it. Huge amount of allied armor coming in here. Although that makes me wonder, they really lack any sort of infantry at this point. Scoff has got a lot of flamers sitting behind this green cover here. But beyond that, some engineers over here without flamers. This is getting to be a pretty close thing, because the Axis just have the manpower advantage at this moment, and that's what you need to win. These fucking King Tigers, this doesn't matter at this point. These guys are gonna fuck around over here. They're gonna trade some health. They're gonna trade some damage. But these infantry are what's going to decide the end of the match, who's going to control the territory or not. But I think Normac can focus in a little bit more on how he utilizes his Knights crossholders. They're excellent units, but you can't be running them through flamers, and you can't be using them at long range. I think having so many of them, like so, you get diminishing returns out of them. A single squad or 2 can really overwhelm the allies here, but once you start getting 3 squads in a row, any vulnerability that the Knights crossholders have, you have 3 times that vulnerability. You have 3 times the Knights crossholders. So that means you have so much pop invested in these units that are very afraid of fire, let's just say. And they're very delicate, so you don't want to lose them. Getting crushed by a tank or something like that. You don't want to lose them to a Pershing. So you've got to be very, very careful with them. And when you have the allies in your backfield like this, careful and delicate are just not things you can do. This Pershing needs to go down. But with this AT gun support, and especially this 17-pounder out of Fantik, well positioned, well aimed, he's moving it on up. This Panther's going to have a very bad time, and there's just no counter to it. I'm not sure what these King Tigers are doing. Are they repairing? But at this point, these KTs are doing a whole lot of nothing. And no one seems to be reacting the way they should to this massive allies in their backfield. An 88 up here is not what was needed, and I think these units could very easily be back-capping. They do have this MG nest here, but they could cap this sector. They could go for the howitzer. What do the allies even have? The allies have nothing in this field, so they're hugely vulnerable, and they're just counting on the Axis not doing anything. And the Axis are obliging them and not doing anything, so they're going to be missing out on all these sectors they could be recapturing. They could take out the howitzer. Skafa's got his his engineer blob coming on up, but that Ostwind could wipe out, what is it, 16 population worth of flamers, of engineers, and instead that Ostwind is not doing a whole hell of a lot, not even repairing. So you've got this unit sitting still. He's starting to activate it now, starting to get some going on it. Meanwhile, allies are starting to get pushed back. The KTs have come up, they've done their thing, they've taken a few more hits. God, are they going to go back and repair again?
You must not keep the enemy waiting.
But the sniper and the P4 can probably hold the line. Meanwhile, while these guys repair, the sniper's really going to have to prioritize these AT guns. We've got these Panzerschreck riflemen here. The Axis are starting to see the tables turned on them a little bit. Starting to lose population. About 1.5 a minute. And they're just not able to concentrate themselves enough. See, this is why it's important to be in Discord, and it's important to have teammates to communicate with and to communicate with them. These King Tigers need to be coordinated. Neither of them have a lot of health individually, but if you put them together, they have enough hit points to actually still do some serious damage out on the field, especially when supported with something like a well-microed sniper, plenty of vision, Pack 40 AT gun. You've got a very, very lethal concoction here, at least all the ingredients for one. Sherman takes a hit, realizes what a mistake that was. And Arkabar, by the way, we just saw, he's spent. So what has he got? He's got an engineer squad and a one-man MG that barely has any hit points left. So Arkabar is basically gone. Fantik is similarly spent. 2 Brens, a 17-pounder AT gun. Now he's going to have to micro that 17-pounder like a god. He's going to have some goddamn micro. But that's really all he's got left to even contribute to the fight. The match is winding down. The Allies now have the territory advantage, but the population isn't going to do them any good because they don't have any units to actually call out on the field. Just about everybody is spent.
Enemy vehicle has been
the Allies don't know that. Good on Arkabar for holding his units on the field and not retreating them and not losing them.
SIG's report of
Because
Brim
it
carrier has
at
been
least
knocked out.
doesn't let your opponent know that you're out of stuff. It makes them think you're still on the field and you can contribute to a fight. So they're kind of more afraid of you. They're a little more cautious. Once they see that Arkabar is eliminated thing, they know you're out. They know it's a 3 versus 4. They're going to get a little more aggressive. They're going to get a little ballsier, and it's probably going to pay off for them. Meanwhile, Fantik loses the Brens. He is down to just this AT gun. He's 4 men on this 17-pounder. And these King Tigers can still do it. This P4 can still do it. If he can get a good scouting run with his bike, he can really notice that they don't actually have a whole hell of a lot. Because I'm looking at it from Fantik, he's the 17-pounder. We already went over Arkabar, has just about nothing, but what does Skafa have left? He's got his flamers, a jeep, You know, he's got scraps, essentially. He's got the Pershing at about 3/4 health, which is not bad. But not much of a company other than that, and that just leaves Area, who fortunately has a decent amount of infantry, which is what they're going to need to win the day. Axis starting to get undone because of their lack of infantry, which is interesting out of defensive and terror players. Of all the Grenadiers and Knights Cross you have, with how focused and specialized those doctrines are, they're not having a lot of units still on the map here. All the Knights Cross have pulled off. Just the King Tiger remains. AT gun comes on the field. Let's see what else he can pull out. From Alpha, let's see. Just a mortar. So this is going to be a game of cat and mouse. Nobody's going to know what anybody has left. And the first one to play chicken or whatever, like, you know, kill the rifleman. You have 2 King Tigers. You got to be careful of this 17-pounder, but you got to know that the Allies just don't have enough at this point to really hold you back if you do a proper coordinated push. That's why communication is so key. Meanwhile, RustyNails over here with his P4, trying to do some sort of flank. Oh, here we go. The MG-nist is going to do something. Oh, good job, Area. You did it. And losing this MG squad is going to be actually a very big deal for the Axis. They need every bit of infantry they can. They could have left it in this house to hold this territory or something like that. They could have even captured with it. Oh, there goes the MG nest. Okay. And I'm having a bug where... okay. Is that... Alright, whatever. Pershing going on this Panzer IV because these King Tigers are just too afraid to do something. I understand not wanting to lose your vet 2 King Tiger, but this Pershing is killable with 2 King Tigers. This P4 doesn't have to die. This didn't have to happen this way. There goes the other King Tiger. I think the Axis are calling it. Let's see. What did the Allies have? Fantik. Was Fantik just gone? Yeah. Fantik is eliminated. Arkabar, as we said before, has nothing. Area, at this point, has a single rifle squad. Skaffa's the only one with anything of any note left. He's got a Pershing. If he has any repairs left on this Pershing, it's a formidable unit still. If he doesn't have any repairs left, 2 King Tigers could have taken this easy. But it was ultimately the capping game that won it for the Allies. The Axis were just not able to deal with the flank here. And when an enemy flanks you like that, you can give some territory, but you can't let them get all the way back to your spawn. That's just going to cause you way too much heartache. Instead, the Axis were trying to hold the territory that they had, which was serving them pretty well from the very beginning. But at some point, you have to deal with the Pershing and the armor and everything that's in your backline. And they got themselves cut off. Like I said before, the Axis could have come in here and cut off these Allies, but they were a little docile. They were a little content to just hold what they had, even when they knew the Allies were pushing on the far flank. And there was a period there where the Allies just did not have a damn thing in the middle here, but no one was coming in to probe. No one was coming in to deal with that. And what I have found in my own experience is that generally, you know, if you try to take some territory, you're going to take some territory unless your opponent actually does something to stop you. And so if you're just constantly trying to take territory, if you're just constantly trying to sneakily take some sectors from them, that means they have to stop you every single time. Eventually, they're going to miss it, and they're not going to stop you, and you're going to get it. And if you can find a way to get in there, try to grab that territory, try to maximize your gains for the minimal amount of losses, and you come to an understanding that half the time that you can just walk in there and no one's going to stop you, you know, you just have to be careful of the other half of the time where they actually do try to stop you. But there's a lot of free territory that was up for grabs this game. Excuse me. And no one was really doing it until the Allies just got together on one giant armored death ball, and the Axis, you know, put 288s on a single flank rather than a single 88 on each flank, which I think would have served them much better. So here we are at the intelligence report for Battle 5789. This is a nifty little feature built into our launcher as part of Europe in Ruins. You get the post-game, post-battle intelligence briefing. So this has a lot of useful information about the battle, the players, kill totals. We've got this really useful chart for territory gains, for population totals per player, and for team kill totals. Especially, you'll notice right here, Axis and Allies were going back and forth the entire game for the kill totals. You see the Allies were actually underperforming a little bit at the end. The Axis were finally getting an advantage, but by this point it was too late in the game for that sort of thing to matter. This Axis gain needed to materialize a lot earlier in the game in order to snowball into an Axis victory, I feel. Everyone did real great this game, including arkabar. It was really fun to see him getting a little bit better, and I think he did a lot better than maybe this ratio gives him credit for. Those MG nests really gave Scaffa and Scaffa's Pershing a lot of safe room in which to operate. And although arkabar himself was not necessarily as proficient with his Pershing as Scaffa was, let's say, he really was able to contribute on that flank a fair margin. The Axis just never pushed past those MG nests. It just never happened once they were up. So a big shout out to him, and a big shout out to everybody who played. This was a pretty great game. Seeing two King Tigers kind of dueling against dual Pershings was real fun. And this one was a pretty close nail biter till the very end. So it was a very interesting match. Thanks to all the players. Thanks to the community for sending this in. Remember, if you have any other battles you'd like me to cast, send those on in, and I will take a look at them. And thank you very much for watching and for sticking it out. It really does help if you give a like or leave a comment or something. We always appreciate hearing from the audience. We always appreciate people giving a little bit of feedback. But you know what? It also drives YouTube wild if you like and comment and maybe even subscribe. Let's see if we can get over 100 subscribers. That's going to be the easiest thing in the world, but we need just a couple of you to subscribe. And then that'll put us right over 100. That'll be a nice little milestone that we get to hit. Thank you very much for checking this out, and I will see you on in the next one.